Hi everyone, it's Dr. Dickinson and welcome to week 3 of ITL 516, Mathematics Integrative Design. In week 3, you're going to take all of the pedagogical practices that you've been reading about and apply them in the context of designing a math lesson. You'll also be creating a flipped video where you teach a math concept, just like I'm doing right now. I'm creating a video to teach you about this course. You'll be creating a short video to teach us, your colleagues, your peers, and possibly share this with your students in the future, a video that you will be teaching a math concept. So let's get started. I'm going to just do a brief overview of week 3 and show you some resources that you might also want to look at when you're working through our week 3 learning tasks. So the goal of week 3 is to help you apply the universal design for learning into the context of planning and teaching mathematics. You also have an opportunity to discuss strategies for differentiated instruction and how it can support all learners in the context of teaching math. And then you'll reflect on your observations of how cultural, developmental, and linguistic-based strategies are used to engage diverse learners. These student learning outcomes align with our course learning outcome, which is CLO number 4, to design math instruction using UDL principles and the learning map model. So, this week we'll be reading Chapter 5 of Teaching Outside the Box. You'll also be using your course textbooks on the Common Core Math Companion to help you select content standards for a lesson. There's also some really great activities that you can select from this book that are aligned with the particular standards that you want to design a lesson for. So you'd be using both resources this week. You can also use the Thomason folder if you have that. It's an optional purchase for understanding UDL. Okay. Now, hopefully you've already gone through this wonderful Padlet, which is about the learning map, and it will show you many, many examples of the learning map in practice. There's even a video of me here called Unpacking the Learning Map, Process and Product of Learning. And now you're really lucky because I'm actually doing math content standards in this learning map. So please make sure you check this out. This is going to really help you work with week 3 assignments. Again, these resources are here for you. You can go over all of the stages of the learning map and get some more information on what is universal design for learning and how it works with designing instruction for students with exceptionalities. Okay, so now that you've had a chance to look at some of these videos and think about how it applies into the context of teaching math, you can have some additional resources here which talk about tips and strategies for differentiating instruction and some specific strategies that focus on whole brain. So thinking about how students can be physical and learn through movement, music, using their body. And so some really kind of engaging alternative ways that can help you think about different ways to design instruction for mathematics. In our week 3 discussion, we'll be looking at what we've already done in week 2, which is our fieldwork observation. And you will share some of your experiences. You'll also respond to your peers, what they have observed, and hopefully we can create a dialogue here, learning from each other and what we've experienced during the fieldwork observation. You'll also be sharing your week 2 group assignment, which is the learning progression. And so far, I'm so impressed with the work that you've done and how you're able to unpack these content standards and see how they develop across the grade span. This is really important and deep work that's going to help you support all your learners as well as create a challenging and engaging math instructional curriculum. Now, our week 3 assignment A is the learning map. Now, here's a little screenshot here. There is a document that is in our Google Doc folder. You can also click on this hyperlink. Make sure that you are making a copy of this learning map. So if you go to the ITL 516 drive, you'll see a blank copy of the learning map. You want to just click on that document. It will open up. And then to make a copy for your own use, so you can turn this in as your learning map assignment, you just go to File, make a copy, and then you put your name for the learning map and save it in your folder. And then click OK. All right. There's also an example in here if you want to see how another colleague has unpacked the learning map, and how they begin by unpacking a standard, thinking about a student learning goal. Remember, we've done student learning goals throughout our entire course. And think about some of the foundational courses in which you've talked about social emotional learning. The barriers to learning, this really ties into what you've learned in the Learner and Learner 1 in terms of students' language proficiency, their funds of knowledge, their attention span, their learning needs. And then the common misconceptions, that's where you're going to go back to your Common Core Mathematics companion book, because this book explicitly tells you common misconceptions for each standard. So make sure you're looking at this resource and seeing what the common misconceptions are identified in this textbook. Then you'll talk about your particular class. Since this is week 3, you can use your week 1 data. So remember, in week 1, we gave you a classroom, we gave you 10 students. So you want to talk about that class as a whole, and then identify accommodations, adaptations for a group of students that have similar learning challenges. So you want to think about some commonalities for the class that you selected, and think about what adaptations or accommodations you would consider for students. And this is really where you're going to get to the heart of instruction, because when you talk about differentiating and supporting learners, you have to meet your learners where they're at. And that requires you to do small group intervention where you're pulling out a group of students and working with them based on where their needs are, where their strengths are, where there's their areas for growth. And so this is a really important concept, and it's really important for you to know how to do this as a classroom teacher. Now we're going to go into UDL, where you can start thinking about the standard that you selected and how you can specifically address UDL principles by presenting the content in multiple ways, by engaging students, and by giving them opportunities to express and show what they know in different ways. We'll want to have some ideas in terms of how we'll manage the students during the activities that we've created. So if your particular activity includes having the students work with mathematical tools like scissors and paper, how is that going to be organized? What are students going to do? Where are your materials going to be located? How does that function and flow? Stage 2, this is kind of like your short and sweet learning, teaching agenda. This might be what you write on the board, what you share with the students, kind of your mini cheat sheet for you to bring in. Now, you may not have access to a classroom room right now for you to do the stage 3 assessing and reflecting. But if you do have access to students and you want to do the stage 3, you're welcome to do that. I think it's a really great practice. It'll help you really go deep with understanding your instructional design and the effectiveness of the design. You might have a great idea, but it could have a failure to launch. So it's really important to try and implement our teaching strategies and then collect some evidence while we're teaching, whether it's what students are saying, or having running records, graphic organizers that you're collecting, and then looking at that evidence that you collect from the students and then reflecting and seeing how you would apply that into future lessons. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed our week 3 session. Don't forget, there's some videos here for our week 3 assignment B, teaching a math concept, a flipped video where you create and you teach us a concept. Thanks so much, and I hope you enjoyed our week 3 overview.